Welcome to the Chambers podcast. This is the We Are Business podcast, and I am excited as your host, Susan Spears, to bring to you two wonderful leaders from the Fredericksburg, Virginia region today. Dr. Christopher Newman, who is the CEO of Mary Washington Healthcare, and Dr. Troy Paino, president of the University of Mary Washington. Thank you both for being here today.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's not every day that I get together with both of you at the same time, so I'm super excited about that. So we're going to bounce off a few community questions, and then we'll dive into some other things about your organizations, okay? So let's start with what drew you to this community in your current role. Can I start with you, Dr. Newman?
Yeah, really, it went a ways back. I did my MBA at the University of Virginia. Probably started that about 12 years ago, and first, really came about with Fredericksburg at that time.
Yeah.
Never realizing that I would end up here working or with my family. But when the opportunity arose in 2019 for me to join the health system, that time as the chief medical officer and chief operating officer, it just felt like a great fit for myself and my family. My wife grew up in the D.C. area. We went to school in this area. So in a way, it almost felt like coming back home. But neither of us were extremely familiar with Fredericksburg, but it is a unique and special place, just a great community. We've had the opportunity to live multiple places in the country, but this has just been by far our favorite, and this feels the most home to us at this point.
We're glad you chose this region as your home. Thank you for being here. And also, let's hear from you, Dr. Paino.
Yeah, Susan, how much time do you have? No,
I know.
I would say the one word that I would use to describe what attracted me here was opportunity. I was president at another university, and I was not looking for a job when a search consultant reached out. Initially, it said that I wasn't at a right time in my life to move. I had a daughter in high school, one who was just starting college at the time. Didn't think the time was right. But the more we thought about it, for some of the same reasons that Chris just mentioned, my wife's brother lives up in Arlington, Virginia. She had never had an opportunity to live close to family during the course of our marriage and raising our two daughters. And so after a few weeks, we reconsidered and reached out to the search consultant and said, we'll at least take a look at this. And I think the more I learned about both the University of Mary Washington, but the broader Fredericksburg community, the more I was attracted because of the opportunities here. I just thought there was a lot going on, a lot of potential. And I always wanted to be a part of an organization and part of a community that had forward momentum and that I could be a part of something big. And I think that we have all the ingredients here to do just that.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And thanks for sharing a little bit about that personal side that brought you around. All three of our organizations have been here more than 100 years, trailblazing in the region. University of Mary Washington since 1908, Mary Washington Healthcare since 1899, and the Fredericksburg Regional Chamber since 1916. Boy, we all looked a lot different at that time, right?
I feel old.
And so we're here at such a great time of continuity and leadership and strength for the region as it's continued to grow and evolve and change throughout that time. Now, with your organizations deeply rooted in this community, how would you each describe the role of University of Mary Washington and Mary Washington Healthcare, how it's played in shaping this future of the Fredericksburg region?
Yeah, I'll start. Our mission is to improve the lives of and the health of those in the communities that we serve, and we take that extremely seriously. It's something we talk about every day as we do our strategic planning, as we make every choice. It is how do we improve the health of the communities that we serve, and really everyone in those communities. As our safety net provider, we really make it our mission to make sure everyone has access to care and has great health care. As we look at the future, we're looking into expanding the complexity of the care that we're able to do here. Really, as this community has grown, we want to grow along with it and really increase the complexity of care, neurosurgery, orthopedics, cardiovascular services, such that people do not have to leave our region for that top tier specialty care.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that. Dr. Paino.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting when you talk about our three organizations. I think of us as anchor institutions for our community. And the University of Mary Washington, similarly, as I see it, as a tributary to this region, that we're here to serve the needs, whether they're social, economic, or otherwise, the needs of this community through educational opportunity. So I really see us here as that tributary to the broader community to recognize what our needs. After all, as you mentioned, we were established in 1908. At the time, we were established as a normal school, which, for those of you who don't know, that's just a way of describing a school that was really built to prepare teachers. This was at a time in Virginia where we had a burgeoning public school system and there was a need for school teachers. So we were there to meet, we were created to meet what was considered at the time the primary social need of the region. Similarly, I think it's incumbent upon us to continue to evolve and adapt to meet the changing needs. And right now, I think one of the things that excites me about the partnership with Mary Washington Healthcare is it brings back to the surface why we are here, to meet whatever acute need this community and this region has at the time. And certainly healthcare, I think, is at the top of the list right now.
Mm-hmm. And I would say with these two organizations that share the name Mary Washington, you've been working on strengthening that partnership a good deal in recent months and years. And I think there's some specific things that you're working on even together. So maybe you want to share a little about that right now, and we'll dive into some of that conversation. What are you working on next with that?
Well, next, we have started working already, and it's been a great partnership. But I will just say one thing that we've got up and moving forward is the Masters in Nursing program, which has just been a huge need, not only for a lack of faculty to train the next generation of nurses, but also nurse practitioners to care for our communities. And that was really one of the first steps in a solid partnership between the two institutions moving forward that I think are going to have dividends way down the road for our community. But then we really led to conversations around medical school. I don't think people really understand the need until their primary care doctor retires or they're new to the area and they understand how difficult access to care can be and how much of a shortage there are of physicians, all licensed healthcare professionals actually, but particularly physicians. And this is becoming a major issue, not just in our region as well as parts of the Commonwealth, but also nationally. So I always tell people the only way we can recruit doctors to our region is to really recruit them away from another community that needs them just as badly. So we started our pipeline work, within the health system with graduate medical education, starting residencies and fellowships, and that continues to grow. We'll probably have over 200 physicians in training as that program is built out in the next couple years. So that's exciting. That's an exciting part of the pipeline. And then we started working with some medical students who came from other medical schools and were doing their entire third and fourth year of training here at our health system. And then we saw we could do it on a high level, and we're one of the only health systems in this region of the state that has the complexity of care, has the breadth of specialties to be able to provide that training. And that led to discussions of why shouldn't we have a medical school here? Why can't we be part of the solution in this pipeline rather than just complaining about how difficult it is to recruit physicians? And that led to the conversations with Dr. Paino. Because rather than the health system recreating a lot of the things that the university does here, already has and does in a very high level, a partnership made much more sense. And there really is no better partner that I could see for the health system than the University of Mary Washington.
Yeah, I've been here. I'm just getting ready to start I guess I've started. We're in July, aren't we? My 11th year as the president at the University of Mary Washington. So if you go back 10 years ago when I set foot in this community and I set foot on campus and was learning more, I was surprised that the university wasn't more in the healthcare space than it was. It had just started a nursing program, and let me give a shout out to another anchor institution that is a partner on our BSN program. That's Germanna, who plays a big role in this, and I hope will continue to play a big role in the work that we're doing with Mary Washington Healthcare. But I was surprised that we weren't more aggressively in this space. Maybe it's because, and I'm going to date myself, I'm at the very tail end of the baby boom generation. And I know that as that large generation ages, I'm certainly aware of the growing need for health care. Then the other thing that happened shortly after I arrived is that I tried to get a doctor's appointment, and that was,
my goodness, in
yeah,
2016.
Yeah, that's when I realized, like, we got a problem in this community because just getting access to a physician, to a primary care physician, was in some cases 6 months to a year wait to get in to see someone, and to build a relationship with a physician who gets to know you and can help with your care through your life as you age is critically important. And so as I learned more and more about the need, I became more convinced that the University of Mary Washington not only had an opportunity but a responsibility to be in this space. But then my education sort of continued to evolve, and I'm glad that Dr. Newman mentioned our MSN. This is our first cohort that is starting this fall, and it is not only full, but we have a waiting list. So clearly there's a need for this. But there are other programs that we're building out, both at the undergraduate, but also considering at the graduate level, to help serve this region in healthcare. So the other thing that happened in my evolution was actually Dr. Newman coming onto our board. At the time, he was the chief medical officer at Mary Washington Healthcare, but that's when I really began learning even more the extent of the problem around our shortage in physicians in this region. And this really affects everyone, and it certainly affects the economic development. It affects the ability to attract business or to serve existing businesses that are trying to attract employees to this region. I always say that I think there are two things that people often ask. There are a lot of other things, but I think two primary things, especially if you have a family before you move to it. What's the quality of education and what's the quality of healthcare in the region? If you're raising a family, you want to make sure that you have access to both high-quality education and high-quality healthcare. And so just learning about the shortfall, and Dr. Newman informed me that we were in the second percentile in terms of physicians per capita, and that's the second percentile to the bad. That means 98% of the country is in better off shape than we are. Puts us more on par with sort of rural outposts of some depopulated areas, maybe in North and South Dakota. But our problem was obviously a result of fast population growth and just the challenges of having the healthcare system keep pace with that growth. And so when Dr. Newman started talking to me more and more about it, him and his predecessor, Dr. McDermott, were the ones who planted the seed about a medical school. And I was initially, coming out of COVID, a little resistant to the idea just because I didn't know if we had the bandwidth at the time, quite honestly. But as I became more and more informed and aware of this, and as I reflected back on your earlier question about our mission, I thought, this is something we have to do. We have to be a part of this. We need to be at the table, and we need to be a part of solving this problem for this region and for this community. And we really probably began, Chris, in earnest, maybe about 12, 15 months ago on this partnership. And it has just been a great experience to date, working with our colleagues across Highway 1 on this. And we can get into that more later, but...
Yeah, I would tell our listeners that may not be familiar with the area to take a aerial view and look at kind of the center of this. Both organizations have satellites and even other hospitals in the region, but the center of it, the main campuses, are really walkable, and that's really nice for when folks are visiting, if they have loved ones in the hospital or loved ones at the school and they need access, to have both things right there has just been brilliantly staged and continuing to grow together. When you talk about that growth, really over 400% growth here with our population in the region since 1970, certainly our issues in this region are issues of success. You know, for our listeners, we are right here on the 95 corridor outside of Washington, D.C., and then our capital of Richmond. We're right in the middle of those two. And so people want to be here. We're in a great location, but they sure wouldn't think on the surface that you're in that 2 percentile, you know,
right,
that those issues are happening. And so for you to see to be solution oriented, to look up from the day to day and say, we've got to look at that future is just phenomenal, and great leadership from both of you and your organizations. So I see it around. I know it's happening, but let's hear a little bit more about what stage you're in some of that planning and what kind of community support you've had so far.
Yeah. Big thanks to so many in the community who've really had a groundswell of support for this idea. A year ago it was just an idea. It was a dream. It was a solution to a problem. But we just really appreciate business leaders, local leaders, our elected officials, all really rising up to support this idea and bring it to the point where we have gotten some money in the coming budget for the state of Virginia to really in earnest plan, put pencil to paper and put forward really a solid plan to bring this from an idea to reality. So there's just many people to thank. I want to, Delegate Cole has been a great supporter, as well as all our other delegates, and Senator Durand and others here locally have just been really great supports. But I believe Delegate Cole is a recent graduate of the University of Mary Washington.
He sure
so
is.
that's another fantastic
proud alum.
point.
That's right. Yeah.
So he's an alumni and also a supporter. But so it's really been great, and I think people are realizing not only just the personal access problem that we all have that can be a challenge, but the understanding that healthcare and education are really the foundations of economic growth. Right? Without both of those things, it's very difficult for businesses to come to this region to thrive if they already exist in this region, to attract new employees. So we really want to be part of that milieu, that culture, that environment that we're supporting the economic growth of this region.
Yeah, and I would echo all of that in thanking our local representatives, and particularly one of our patrons on the House side was Delegate Cole and Senator Pillion, which we can talk a little bit more later about why he was our patron on the Senate side for this ask. He's located down in Southwest Virginia, which is also a part of the Commonwealth that has an acute need for health care.
Yes.
And so someone who certainly understands the need to prepare physicians to serve the underserved. But I also want to thank the business community and the chamber because you helped rally support for local leaders and local businesses around this effort and made that known to the elected officials in Richmond and in Washington, D.C. Want to thank certainly not only our state officials, but we've also heard from Congressman Vindman and Senator Kane and others who are very interested and supportive of this effort. So a lot of people to thank. You don't pull something like this off, and we're far from pulling it off. We have a lot of work to do. Yep. But you don't do it with just one or two individuals. It does take a community-wide effort, and I think that people recognize the need. I will mention that where we are in this phase, as Dr. Newman mentioned, we got this money. We've put some of our own money into it as well because we really are in the very, very aggressive planning stage, and there's a lot that goes into it. Dr. Stephanie Goldberg is kind of the point person on the healthcare side. Dr. Timothy O'Donnell is our provost, our chief academic officer on the university side. They're working very closely together, bringing in consultants, legal advice. There's a lot of work we have to do around when you do a public-private partnership around governance. What does that look like? There's always, the devil's always in the details.
The fun part.
The fun part, exactly. And that's where we are. Curriculum development, preparing for accreditation.
Yes.
Bringing in experts who can help us with an architectural analysis to determine whether or not the facilities we currently have or in the process of having will be adequate, or whether or not we need to add more capital space for the medical school. We're really looking, as Chris mentioned, to everything, soup to nuts, in terms of what it takes, because our goal is, by this fall, to have a very detailed plan, both on what it would cost upfront costs, but also ongoing operational costs, and how we're going to pay for that. Public support, obviously private support is going to be needed. Also, how much of our operating dollars will come out of tuition. We can get into this later, but we're really thinking about a very innovative, forward-looking medical school that is different from the medical schools that currently exist in the Commonwealth. And we want to build into that incentives to keep these graduates here in Virginia, and particularly serving underserved populations, whether that's geographic or otherwise. So that's a very distinctive mission among the other medical schools here in Virginia. And so what will that take? That's the work we're doing right now, and hopefully in the next 3 or 4 months, we'll have something to really share with our elected officials. But also, Dr. Newman and I are right now just in the early phases of rolling up our sleeves and getting out there for the philanthropic support we're going to need to make this work.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I think people underestimate or don't quite understand the actual cost of medical education. It can be very high. And our mission, we'd really love to do this in a different way, and that is we want to keep tuition reasonable. So that is not a barrier for those wanting to, become physicians and actually practicing clinicians in our communities. So philanthropic support, state support, private support is going to be a big part of how we keep this such that we can, alleviate some of the financial barriers for those that would like to become physicians.
So many moving parts with this. It's great. And one of the things that you said that really ties over in the chamber lane on having the folks come here, train here, learn here, and you said stay in the Commonwealth, but also stay in the region. Yep. We're planning our second regional trip here in a few months. We're going over to our friends in Lynchburg, Virginia. And one of the things that we've learned from that region that they do very well that we can learn more from, one of our plans with this trip, when talking to Liberty University in particular, is a lot of their students stay in that region. And everywhere you go in business around town, because we kind of tested it, there were students that were there that were graduates or in school, and they were really immersed in the community. And so that's certainly something that we see as the future of the region too, is, hey, we want to train you and we want you to stay here. We want to make this whole area so appealing that this is where you lay roots, that 11 years later, you're still here, with us. So you popped that thought into my head. So we're really looking forward to that next dialogue too. Now, as I live right near you guys, and I'm always around too, not just with work, but home. I'm one of those folks that sees it all right there on the ground. There's certainly a lot of projects, major construction projects happening right now with both organizations, beyond just the conversation we just had. So tell us about what those are with your campuses. What are you building now, and what's next in those works?
Yeah, we're very excited about the building that's going up right across the street from Mary Washington Hospital, which is really going to be our education center. We started that construction really to have a place for our graduate medical education, so our residents and fellows to train. We're going to have a state-of-the-art simulation lab to really train the next generation. We have space for nurses, conferences, et cetera. But then as the medical school discussion went along, we're hoping that if this moves forward, we'll have classrooms and space there also for our medical school, and that will become one of the centers of the medical school. And as you'd already mentioned, the geographic location of our two institutions is just really very fortunate, and that we can really create that campus right between both of our institutions. So the building should be open sometime this fall, and we're very excited about that.
Wow, that's moving quickly.
Very quickly, yeah.
Oh, the joys of working on the private side.
Yeah.
On the public side, it takes a little longer. And I would say that our biggest project right now, and you're certainly familiar with, Susan, is the fact that we are finally beginning construction of a new theater on the corner of Sunken and William. It's been a project long in the making. I've been working on this for most of my tenure here as president in raising the funding and getting the work done. But we now, because of some cost escalation, particularly around labor, right now, it's been people tell me that it's because of the data centers that are being built around the Commonwealth that particularly electricians and those who work in HVAC have a lot of demand on their labor, which has caused an increase. So we had a cost overrun of around $28 million.
Oh, no stress involved with that.
No stress involved in that. So we've had to continue, and this has happened as we continue to work on this project, have continued to have to seek more funding for it. We are successful, continue to be successful in doing so, and so we're, as you know, we have cleared out the residence halls from that corner, and we are now on the verge of site preparation to begin construction later this summer. Our opening is not expected, that new beautiful theater, which I'm excited about it, Susan, for multiple reasons, not the least of which is that since I've been here, one of our goals is to further integrate our campus with the downtown community.
Well, there you go.
This is really going to be a new gateway to campus on that corner of Sunken and William, which brings us closer. And I used the word tributary earlier. And I think this really symbolizes our view that we should be a tributary to the community. And back when Mary Washington College was initially built, it was an all-women's school, of course, and later became a part of UVA as the all-women's school for UVA. But, you know, in some ways it was that cloistered all-women's school on the hill that the buildings were actually literally constructed to face inward. With, you know, hedges around. It was almost as if that was walled off from the community. And I think, and I give my predecessor, Rick Hurley, some credit because he began thinking in these ways, and I've hopefully continued that on, is that how do we open the campus up to the community? And we think the theater is going to really be a gateway to do just that. And then we'll follow that with the renovation of 3 key academic buildings on campus, Melcher, DuPont, and Pollard. That will be a beautiful new home for our art, but also particularly our music program, which we're making significant investments. When I came here, I believed that this was another opportunity, is that if you're going to be a strong liberal arts and sciences university, you have to have a strong music program. So we're going to make a significant investment. We're continuing to make investments in music to build that out. So we're excited. Those are probably over the next 4 years, the big projects. There's a lot of other things we're doing. Summer is busy time. We brought some new locker rooms onto the battleground, our athletic facilities, in addition to all the work that goes on just to maintain this aging campus that we have.
Yeah, and I just want to say, you know, the university just plays a great role in improving the culture of our region, entertainment, and sense of community. And I've gotten to go to several of the productions. They're just really excellent. And I think this is how we retain people in our community, right? Is that quality of life, and the university is just a major contributor to that.
It certainly is, and I'm having fun over here visualizing all of it as I've seen it evolve over the years and then into the future. Everything you're talking about, and I think it might be the first time I heard you mention the music part. I was a music major. I have my degree in composition and piano performance, and I well know that part of the campus where the pianos were and taught, and one of the long-term professors in piano was one of my best friends in high school and growing up. Her dad was involved, and her mom was a music teacher over at school. It's a small town in the end. So it's really cool to be evolving this conversation, to be talking about all the things: economic development, music, arts, theater, medical support, and everything you need to be a healthy community. All of those pieces tie together. Yeah. So it's really great to see all the different ways that we're thinking, and then even talking about the jobs with data centers and the things that are needed there, how that's pulling away from the reality of how quickly you can get the right labor. It's all the complex things that make up running the business of your organizations, and people don't always realize it. And so, as you're thinking about that, and so many changes you're navigating through right now, what else are you doing to position the organizations to lead through this?
Yeah, we've just launched our 5-year strategic plan, which we call Thrive 2030. And that is really to be a regional center of excellence in 5 different specialties that we're going to be investing heavily in the next few years, with the idea of people not having to go to Richmond or Charlottesville or D.C. For high-quality specialty care. They'll be able to be here right in our community to do that. I think people maybe have seen some of the things that are coming forward, but we've made major advancements in neurosciences. We've recruited multiple neurosurgeons this year, and we are now doing our first aneurysm surgery, acute thrombectomy program for those that have stroke. And as we did a town hall recently, we had one of our associates there who talked about how this program saved her husband's life just not very long ago. He came in with a stroke, and time is of the essence when you have these emergencies. And if you're looking to get, a place to be shipped somewhere else, that time can be of the essence. So when you're looking at trauma or stroke or heart care, minutes really matter. So building those programs, very important to me. We have the size of the community, we're able to do that. And the academic chassis, this conversion to an academic health system is going to be able to support not only the learners, but also drawing the right faculty, those right specialists to this region to be able to perform this high-level care. And in fact, just the discussion of the medical school and just starting these residencies has allowed us to recruit some just really world-class specialists just in the last year. So it's really exciting to see that and how our community is really benefiting. And I get the benefit of people coming and thanking, me, when it was really not just me, it was our whole team, thousands of people at Mary Washington Healthcare that all worked together to save a life. So it's really exciting, and rewarding for that.
I mean, that's what you're here for. It's so great. Yep. So great. Thank you for that. And Dr. Paino.
Well, coincidentally, we just finished a strategic planning process, and our board approved last month a new 5-year strategic plan. I won't go into all the 4 pillars, but the first 2, I think, are the most important to answer your question. And the first one is about revolutionizing our liberal arts and sciences mission, and particularly in the age of artificial intelligence. It's causing us all to sort of rethink what does it mean to be an educated citizen in the 21st century as we're working alongside artificial intelligence in our daily lives. And as business begins to integrate that more and more, we have to think very thoughtfully. We think this is an opportunity for us to reassert the importance of a liberal arts education. As we tell our students and prospective students, it's not, you often will not remember a particular thing from a class that you took. I can tell you if someone asked me specifically to recall what I learned in a class I was taking some 40, 45 years ago, I wouldn't remember much. But our main job is to really teach young people how to be lifelong learners. How to learn, how to spark that intellectual curiosity, and how to adapt, because especially in the rapidly changing environment that we currently are existing with artificial intelligence, we're not sure what the jobs of the future are going to look like exactly, if we're quite honest. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what are going to be the demands of the workforce? And so what employers, I have a chance to serve on the board and the executive committee of the Virginia Business Higher Education Council, which brings business leaders around the Commonwealth with higher education leaders. And this is what I'm hearing from them, is that we need in the age of artificial intelligence is people who have the ability to learn, to adapt, work well with others, all the things, the critical thinking skills, problem solving, but to do it alongside and understand how to maximize the use of artificial intelligence in an ethically responsible yet productive way. So when we think about the kinds of literacies that we need to be teaching students, I think artificial intelligence is going to be one of those. This is highly controversial. I can tell you with this generation of young people in college, whenever you reference artificial intelligence, and maybe you saw it with some of the commencement addresses this past spring, whenever a speaker even referenced AI, they were booed. They were roundly booed for even referencing that, because I think that this generation, quite understandably, sees a lot of threat with artificial intelligence, whether it's concern about the environment or about taking jobs or whatever the case may be. Well, I think it's incumbent upon us to grapple with those concerns, not to stick our head in the sand and ignore them, but to recognize that For better or for worse, artificial intelligence, much like the internet from 30, 40 years ago as it was emerging, is going to become a part of our lives. How do we exercise our agency in terms of how it becomes a part of our lives and a part of the workplace? And that's where we need to be very thoughtful. And so through a private gift, we've established the Center for Artificial Intelligence and the Liberal Arts. I'll give a shout out to Professor Rao, Anand Rao, who is really our leader in this space and helping our community navigate its way through these very complicated questions about what does it mean to be educated? How do you deliver education in the age of artificial intelligence? You know, we're not even really 4 years into this since ChatGPT was sort of brought onto us back in 2022. And we've already seen how much this has changed our world. So we're grappling with that, and we just recently announced a new master's in artificial intelligence in business, and this really came as a result of demand. We are hearing from the business community that, hey, we need people who are coming to our organizations with an understanding of how to use artificial intelligence and how to help us think responsibly about how to use it. There was a CEO from the VBHEC who just mentioned last week in a meeting, said, you know, I'm sending employees, leaders in my community off back to school to learn more about how they can bring artificial intelligence back to our organization, but in a thoughtful way. Because quite honestly, I feel like we need to be in this space. It can help us be more productive, but I'm not exactly sure how to use it. So we need to really be preparing young people to be a part of these conversations in whatever organization they might join after graduation. So that's the first piece, is how do we think about liberal arts education in this day and age with artificial intelligence? Then the second pillar goes to what we've been talking about, and that is how do we serve the regional workforce needs of Fredericksburg? Healthcare certainly is a part of that, business, technology, entrepreneurship, preparing people to go out and build businesses or to build not just businesses, even have ideas that they can bring to fruition. It could be for nonprofit reasons. Mm-hmm. We really need to be preparing students to be active agents in this world, to be able to go out and make not only a career for themselves, but a life for themselves in the age of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that. You know, we sometimes celebrate the technology, particularly in healthcare. We may have anxiety about things like AI, but this makes a liberal arts university the perfect partner, right? At its essence, healthcare is people taking care of people. And really having that humanistic quality to a liberal arts education is going to be essential as we grapple with these technologies going forward. And we don't want to lose the essence of what it is to be a human. So it's very, very important.
The essence of what it is to be a human. Wow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, and in the end, nothing changes that. So getting us eye to eye in the room together, right? Yeah. That's where we can do a lot of that work in these technology areas, but coming together makes, and the way we think and process and do is what makes it all happen. So as we start to wind down our time together today, and you're thinking about everything with your organizations and how exciting that is, and then the region as a whole. From your perspective, what can us over here on the side of the business community, how can we do more to help what's happening and help others, help us attract others? Any thoughts there on how we can make everything move forward together even better?
Well, I just want to, again, thank the Chamber for your advocacy and support as we move forward with this partnership and the medical school. It was huge, and it was, we're very appreciative. I think getting that message out, continuing to sell how great this region is for workers. You know, as we bring in healthcare workers, they often have spouses who are in other industries, right? Yep. So it's just creating that environment that this is an attractive place for young families to move, for people to move to and work. I'm excited. The intangible thing about a medical school that we didn't really talk about is sometimes that in itself becomes a focus for an environment to attract other technology businesses, other kind of businesses to the area, healthcare adjacent businesses that may not have come here otherwise. So it really does create that perfect environment to really expand some of those technologies. So looking forward to see how that will even come to play, especially with the rapidly growing technologies we're all seeing with AI and other things.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you're doing it. Even this podcast is raising awareness, bringing the business community into the conversations. We're not going to be able to do it without the business community support. And you really are that anchor institution that can bring business leaders together to be engaged. And this is an invitation. I mean, I think this podcast is an invitation to those leaders in this community who want to be involved, to certainly reach out, whether it's to me or to Dr. Newman. The more partners we have, you never know what you can do to help. Maybe it's even just a connection. Maybe it's just an introduction. But I think that my hope is that the Chamber can continue to be a very positive voice in this, that this is a time to dream big, that the upside on this is just too big to ignore, both for the economic vitality of this region, but also in terms of the quality of lives of the individuals of this community. What it can do for business, I think, is just going to be really transformative. So I think this is just stay involved, continue to think about how you can be helpful. If you can bring the business community into those conversations, we're always willing to take a meeting, because there's a lot of work to do. We're on a pretty aggressive timeline. I mean, ideally, we would love to be welcoming our first class of medical students in the fall of 29. That's 3 years from now. That's a blink of an eye. There's a lot of work to do in 3 years. And so if there are listeners out there who are interested in this work, we encourage you to get involved.
Yeah. That's great. Okay, so any final thoughts or anything else that you would want to share with our listeners today?
Again, just a lot of people to thank, and it's hard to thank everybody. But again, just the fact that we've got that budget amendment, thanks to basically the House and the Senate and the governors, for pushing that forward and realizing the importance of healthcare and healthcare in our area. I would really want to thank. Everybody works for Mary Washington Healthcare, in that there's a lot of change going on right now, and change is hard. And changing from a community health system to an academic health system, I think people don't realize that. You're going from taking care of patients to taking care of patients while you teach the next generation of healthcare workers, and that is a change, and it's appreciated. And not everybody signed up for that, but I appreciate everybody buying into the vision, understanding the why behind it, the necessity of that. And I'm just proud of everybody at Mary Washington Healthcare who goes to work every day, really just dedicated to caring for our community.
Thank you.
I'll just end with an expression of gratitude as well. I'm grateful I came to a community that, again, has sort of all the ingredients there. We just need to really pull it together. I came here I'll end where I started. The opportunity here is amazing. And the ability to work on something big like this that can be transformative for the region gives me personally a tremendous amount of purpose, gives our community at the university a tremendous amount of purpose. I, too, want to thank everyone who works at the University of Mary Washington, because higher education also is going through some pretty dramatic changes right now. And it can divide a community very easily. So I'm very grateful to be a part of a community that we have very difficult conversations. We all don't agree on everything, but at the end of the day, we usually come together for what's in the best interest, not only the University of Mary Washington, but the broader Fredericksburg region. So I'm just really grateful to be a part of this community. And this really gives us an opportunity to create even a greater identity for this. I know when I got here, there were some who were complaining about some of the rapid growth and the inability to get parking downtown, for example. And coming from Kirksville, Missouri, before I arrived here in Fredericksburg, I reminded people that you want to be in a place where parking is a problem. That means there's some vitality. That means that there's something going on here. And I believe every year I've lived here for the last 10 years, the Fredericksburg community has gotten better. Yeah. And I think this is just another step in that progress towards making this a better community. And I'm so excited to be a part of it.
Oh, it's great. Thank you both. What a dynamic conversation. What a positive way to to conclude our time together, just looking forward and talking about the opportunities and solutions and the great things that are working here. So I'm really proud as a Chamber of Commerce to work with such great leaders that really see the future and the opportunities and have a heart for the community and making everything the best that we can. So thank you for that. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. So we've wrapped it up. I am again your host, Susan Spears, President, CEO of the Fredericksburg Regional Chamber of Commerce. You've been listening to the Chamber's We Are Business podcast. Our guests today were Dr. Christopher Newman, CEO of Mary Washington Healthcare, and Dr. Troy Paino, President of the University of Mary Washington. We thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to the great leaders of the Fredericksburg, Virginia region's community, and we hope that you'll continue to listen to find out what else is happening in our region. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.